All right, family. We live. YouTube General SETI. We got a powerful topic today. We're gonna be talking about, has the Iranian regime really been defeated? Has they really been defeated? Donald Trump said they defeated. I don't think he believed that, but we're here to talk about it, family. Operation been going on now in Iran over a week. It's been over a week now, and great devastation has been caused now. Don't Let's not underestimate that. The great devastation in Iran has been caused. And more could be on the way. Yes, it could be. It could be on the way. And but nevertheless, in order to get in there and really see what's going on, what cable now they saying, when they first started operations, there was a lot of drones going off. Ain't too many more drones, it didn't dwindle down. Now, it could be deliberate, where they say, we're going to ease up, we're going to ease up, or they could just be out of drones. One of the two. Okay, they saying the missiles is slowing down. Are they running out of missiles? A lot of nations over there took a hit now. A lot of nations over there took a hit. Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, Dubai got hit, Saudi Arabia was hit, I believe Oman was hit. A lot of people took a hit over there now. A lot of people took a hit over there. And but they're saying that the drones and the missiles is slowing up. And so that could be deliberate, that could be play dead, or and keep what you got until you can, catch them sleeping and catch them sleeping and wake them up real quick. You don't know. But like I say, knowing Iran, and right now Iran is the citadel of Shiite Islam. Okay, it is it's the big dog when it comes to Shiite Islam, and they're not gonna lay down like that. They're not gonna lay down like that. They're gonna rise again. They're just the nature of that ideology. It's just the nature of that ideology. I wouldn't believe it. It ain't laid down yet, in over a couple thousand years, and it don't look like, it's gonna lay down anytime soon. So what are we dealing with? Attacking uh 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 an institution like that. A lot of people say it's wicked, and it has done great damage. Many of these nations on the planet have done great damage, one way or another. Have done great damage in their time, inflicting pain and destruction on the people. And so all of these nations didn't have their course in their time. You see, and so understanding that to attack Iran and just and what do? You just think you're gonna go back home and think these people is not gonna want revenge. You done knocked off the Ayatollah, you done knocked off the supreme leader, and over 49 different leaders in various departments of military, administration, government. You just knocked them off. Okay. So I mean, any people would want some get back. I mean, look at Pearl Harbor. United States dropped two nuclear bombs on Japan over Pearl Harbor. Look what they did for, a 9/11. And we can get into it was a setup. Yeah. Yeah, it was a setup. But they was in on it too. They got some of the dough. They got some of the dough too. You see what I'm saying? They was in on it too. So it's not just one. It's not just one thief. It's more than one thief. You see, it's more than one op. It's more than one op. And so Bush, Cheney, the Bin Laden family over there, who was flying out of the United States right after supposed to been a lockdown on airspace, and here it is, the Bin Ladens is flying out of the United States. You know, the Bin Laden family was in the United States when the attack went off. So they was in here, orchestrating it. So we know that they all in on it. But to attack Iran like that and think that they're gonna lay down is unbelievable. And why do we say this? Because we don't want to be over here pretending like they couldn't activate some cells here, activate some cells anywhere in the world and inflict great damage to those they feel was responsible for bombing their nation, taking out their leaders and things of that nature. Any leader in any nation would want to have revenge. And so this is gonna be big, in the upcoming in the upcoming weeks, in the upcoming months. Literally, if they're going, I don't see how they don't expect to put boots on the ground, to knock some doors down and see what's left, and make sure you get it, make sure these people is not harboring any type of devastating material. We got to know for sure, and the only way you could do that is to put boots on the ground. And I know people, but you didn't attack the people. So I mean, at this point in time, and even then, even after all of that, it might not be this year, it might be next year. It might be the year after next. It could be something devastating from this event. From this event. So, if you really want, you got to clear out the regime. If you ain't cleared out the regime, which is the Revolutionary Guard, them 49 leaders don't mean nothing because they got a party of hundreds of thousands that willing to continue to a minister under the same ideology. You ain't destroyed nothing. These peoples are still here. They're still breathing and thriving. And so, and plotting as we speak. It's plotting as we speak. You see their nation on fire. They want revenge. They want revenge. You see, they want revenge. And it ain't it ain't gonna be no pinprick, because that's weak. You know what I'm saying? You can't come from behind something like this with a pinprick. It got to be devastating. You see, and more likely it's gonna be in a form of terror where it put fear into the populace. Is it more to come? I'm just saying how they operate. How they operate, and so did Donald Trump set himself up? If he just gonna walk out of there. A lot of people think the United States gonna come home, and the Israelis they doing their own thing. I believe they know better than Trump. I ain't saying I'm for them, but they know better. They didn't attack them, and they ready to stay in there and knock him and knock my man off, and the rest of it, they ready to go in there for real. I'm just being serious. They know how to, they've been over there knocking Palestine down, They've been over there knocking Palestine down. And so they know what it is. They know not to leave none of them up there still breathing. They didn't knock damn near yeah. They've been knocking down every building over there. Someday they yeah, I do the history, yeah. Oh yeah, I heard about them talking about the draft. Yeah, it ain't they might. They might. They might need to. They might need to. I mean, right now, they got, all they had to do is create the right initiatives, incentives, to get people in, and they'll come, for the right, you give them a right dollar, you know, when they was getting in there, if you pay for their school and, and you pay them a nice little dollar and, and that's how you do it. But the United States government, and in the last few presidents, Obama and Biden, and yeah, man, I'm just gonna be real. Them Democrats is real saucy. They let the damn soldiers come in there. They lipstick on and all that, and so that just turn. They trying to turn the damn army out. So a lot of people didn't want to get up in there, you know what I'm saying? But Donald Trump and them is saying that shit is they cutting that out. They cutting that out. You say you come out there, got an AK-47, and the guy out there with a two, what they call it? He come out there with a dress on and all that. You can't do that. He got the woman clothes on, and things of that nature. And so a lot of people didn't want to, sign up, and things of that nature. But they trying to, turn it back into what it was, and military, respectability. You can still have respectability. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't lost all respectability. It was a man's thing, real talk. It's a man's thing. You can't send the woman to war, too much. She got to have a job. You can't stop them from getting in because they're gonna fight you over that. But they supposed to have jobs that don't require them to go to the battlefield. You don't send your women to no battlefield like that, man. That just ain't good business. It's deplorable when woman become become a captive or anything, because you know what could happen with that. So that's deplorable to do something like that, demoralizing. And so you got to you have to, and I believe that they're doing that, and you know you'll get the soldiers to start signing back up. Because I mean, war is war. Say the American petrodollar. That's right. You say, yeah, it depends. Boots on the ground. Yeah, it depends. It depends. It depends. It depends. It'll be brutal. But they said that about Iraq. They said that about Iraq. You see what I'm saying? They said it. Now it's a lot. It's the mountain ranges. If they take it there, but they fought in Afghanistan now. It ain't like they didn't fought in Afghanistan. They didn't fought in Iraq. You know what I'm saying? So they got a strategy. It ain't like they going in there for the first time. They fought in Korea. Korea's in the mountains. They didn't fall in, so that's why America it's been fighting, for the last, since it was created. It's not been a year. It's been about 1 year out of since America has been created where they ain't had no wars. So they done fought in damn near every plateau, every terrain, you know. And so it ain't like they're going in there, but it would be a hell of a fight. It would be. It would be. But this is 2026, man. Y'all gotta understand, man. They got some technology for your ass. They got some technology for your ass. You know, if yeah, it'll be hard on the United States. But goddamn, how hard will it be on Iran? It ain't gonna be no cakewalk for them neither. You know what I'm saying? It'll be a hard fight. But they got they got newer technology out here, man, and it's gonna be hard to beat that damn technology too. You know what I'm saying? This ain't, they got a lot of drones and a lot of robots and shit. Nah, they don't have to necessarily send a lot of, you know, live bodies into a lot of places now. They got a lot of drones and robots and androids and shit. Cyborgs, that they can send in there now and do some of that work. So it ain't the same. It ain't the same battlefield, man. And they're gonna be testing a lot of stuff out on anyway. Every so often they have to get busy. That's how the in military industrial complex get down. Every so often they gonna throw some bodies out there just to see, if these military systems is working. They got systems that they want to see because they can't get soft because if they got to get busy with China or Russia, you know what I'm saying? Russia over there fighting. You know what I'm saying? They over there fighting. So them boys, but they still ain't ready to fight the United States. They ain't ready to fight the United States. They over there getting their ass whooped over there. Russia over there getting their ass kicked, man. A lot of people think if it wasn't for them bombs, they'll be defeated. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for them bombs, they in which they do got, they be taking a serious L. That's real talk. People keep talking, yeah, y'all, but on the ground, they ain't took no land too much. They took some early land and they ain't took no more than that. They ain't letting them take too much more of that land, man. They didn't been really at a stalemate, as far as that go, as far as taking more. Yeah, Russia is bombing and but they getting some licks in too. A lot of enough licks, and you know what I'm saying, to keep them at bay. So, but I think that, if it get any worse than what it is right now, Donald Trump said he gonna bomb the hell out there. And I think that's what's key. That they willing to really ratchet up the bombs on their ass, and they saying that if they act stupid about that straight or horror move, they're gonna bomb their ass into obliteration. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna bomb them into obliteration. So, yeah. Oh yeah, the Red Sea too. The Red Sea too. Because a lot of times that's where they turn. When they come out the Persian Gulf, they turn right up into the Red Sea. And then they come through the Suez Canal, come through the Mediterranean, and come out on the Atlantic, and then come, to the United States. That's the quickest way to go. You know what I'm saying? Out of the Persian Gulf, up through the Gulf of Aden, up and through the Red Sea, through the Suez Canal, into the Mediterranean, through the Straits of Gibraltar, on down through the what is it the North Atlantic current, and bring it all the way 12 to 13 days. Yeah, bring it all the way to America. You see what I'm saying? That's the route. You see, that's the route. And so they gonna control all of that. They're gonna control all of that as best they can. That's why they went up there and got in. You ain't heard too much out of Yemen. You ain't heard nothing out of Yemen. I was like, I'm gonna go on in the news and see what they, Yemen been quiet because they had got on top of their head. Yeah, but they got something for that. They got something for that. Yeah, they've been shooting them, but Ukraine didn't figure out a way to deal with that. So Ukraine's supposed to be coming over and showing they got some technology that they showing the United States and yeah, check it out. Yeah, Ukraine got some new technology knocking them Iranian drones out of there. So they supposed to be coming over and introducing this technology to the United States and the Israelis to help counter the drones. They is shooting but they got them lasers they about to been putting on their ass too. Man, they don't give a fuck about that money. They they don't give a fuck. Listen to me. They don't care about that money, man. They don't care. They're gonna keep making it. You know what I'm saying? They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. At the end of the day, they do not care. You see what I'm saying? Because if quiet is kept, they got so much on stockpile any damn way. You know what I'm saying? They'll make some more. They'll make some more. That's what it's about. I mean, they on deck to fight two wars, and so I mean, I'm quite sure it's gonna boost the economy anyway. Because after you drop them, you're gonna have to pay people to make them again anyway. So war is money. War is money. War is money. The more you drop, the more they gotta make. And so you gonna give people jobs. That's the military industrial complex. Yeah, money. War is a money maker. That's right. You know what I'm saying? So they don't care about that. They gonna make more bombs. You could believe it. And if that's America. They don't care. They can make money out of thin air. You know, they can make money out of thin air. They can make it out of thin air. That's nothing. You think it's a whole lot of people out here willing to give United States a loan right now. You know what I'm saying? They'll loan them some money to keep it going. That's what it's about. The Rothschilds still out there, the Rockefellers. Yeah, they still out there. They about to spend. Donald Trump said they about to go up to $1.5 trillion. They saying that they about to go up to $1.5 trillion. That's right. 90% of their history they've been fighting. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, well, I tell you what, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Donald Trump gonna want to ease up. Because he about money. He want to get in there and get in their pockets. That's what he do. But he don't care about bombing them now. He don't care. You know what I'm saying? I tell you what, let him act up. Let him. He gonna go right back in there again on them and drop and gonna hit them harder the next time. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, family, they're not defeated. That's for sure. They're not defeated, and you know, and majority of the Revolutionary Guard is intact. You see, and so as long as the Revolutionary Guard is intact, the regime is intact. It ain't went nowhere. You done knocked off you done knocked off one of the heads of the snake, but this is a hydra. And so when you cut off one head, seven more heads or two. It was it two heads or seven heads grow back. You see, this is a hydra. So, don't think that they're defeated at all. Okay. They're not. And so this is just the beginning of an old conflict. You're right. It is an ancient war. Rome versus Persia. This is what that is. Greece versus Persia. When you watch the 300, this is a continuation of that. This is but the only thing is that Persia was the big dog at that time. And Greece was the little dog, but they end up whooping them. Yeah. 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 Well, we'll see. I'm quite sure they want a ceasefire because at the end of the day, they want to get the money flowing. They want to get at the end of the day, he want to get the money flowing. And so that's really what it boiled down to. Get the, long as they get the message, get the money flowing, stay out of the nuclear bomb business, and we won't have to go through this no more. If you get to shaking up that what is it? What they use to make the bombs. Not the damn, what do they use to make the bomb? I forget the name. It didn't slip my mind. Long as you don't get to shaking up no more of that uranium is one of 'em. Yeah, uranium. The other one I think started with a P. Yeah, it's uranium. Okay. Yeah, uranium. Y'all right. Uranium. That's right. Long as you don't get to shaking up no more of that uranium, you'll be tight. But if we hear you over here making, and we'll be over here on you again. I appreciate y'all, family. We'll talk about it again tomorrow. Y'all stay focused, stay with your eyes on the prize, and man, and look at the world, man, from a strategic point of view. This is a time for military minds to strategize and look at what's happening and put yourself in that predicament as a leader of a nation, of a black nation, and what you would do in the predict on either side. See yourself from both sides, and what would you do to become the victor in this situation? And that's the beginning of strategy, military strategy, and come out the victor on each side, family. Come out the victor. I'll see y'all in a minute, family. This is General Seti saying, "Hey, I dropped them two Patreon presentations on the Mexican cartel, China, and they covert war on America, narcotics, fentanyl, methamphetamine, and overdoses in the black community has skyrocketed. Check it out, family, because it's fire, and I'll see you tomorrow. Boom, or better yet, later on today. Black Power.